My name is Jan Saar. I'm currently Chief Evangelist at Future Insight, a software development company developing cloud-based solutions for the construction industry. But before that, I was head of digital construction at the Ministry of Climate for the government of Estonia. And I've been dealing with BIM and digital twins and, in more general, the digital transformation of the construction industry for the past 15 years.
My name is Milena Paistel, and I'm one side the co-chair of the European Task Group, and parallel to that in Germany I'm responsible for the implementation of BIM for the Institute for Federal Real Estate, and I'm also supporting the digitization for the construction sector on European and national level.
Which is Saskia Hesselink. I work for the Ministry of the Interior and Kingdom Relations of the Netherlands as a policy officer. I work on mostly digitalization in the built environment and how that can help us to achieve our goals in relation to the energy transition and the Green Deal. It's really very fragmented, so there's data in a lot of different databases. So it's really a challenge to be able to combine those different data sources to be able to make a general overview.
A lot of activities concerning the environmental issues that are similar to the European. I think our targets are even more, challenging and more ambitious. But all in all, it's a similar approach. And the handling of data, which is actually your question, is for the common denominator, I would say. At the moment, we have use cases. So we collect data and we decide to use it in a certain way, which is smart because data is there and you need to store it and protect it and to keep it updated. But what is more important to get some use out of it, like the use cases and then the strategy that you develop out of the data.
Estonia is well known for being, one of the more digital societies in the world. And building data is also quite digital already in Estonia. Since 2016, we have had a fully digital building permitting process. And this is handled by the system called the Building Registry, which is both a processing system and a database or a registry for the built environment in Estonia. And as I mentioned, since 2016, it has been already fully digital. So we have a lot of information about our building stock in national databases. And just recently, we also updated the building permitting process to handle BIM files, which means that we can do automated checks on BIM models and speed up the whole process even more and make it more transparent and also increase the quality of the designs that we get from applicants. Having digital building logbooks where you extract a lot of design information and put it into a database like we have in Building Registry, this opens up the data so you can access it via APIs from other applications, from other services, and you can have a lot of different use cases from maintenance, renovation to CO2 related aspects, which are more and more becoming important across Europe. How do you calculate, for example, CO2 footprint? You need data about a building for that. And the digital building logbooks are really, I think, a good concept that the European Commission is now promoting, that we should have digital data available about our built environment.
Well, I guess the whole point of a DBL is to combine all of those fragmented data sources and to make it accessible at one spot so that you really get beyond that fragmentation and have a bigger picture view of the state of play in the buildings.
The Digital Building Logbook is a conglomerate of all the data we need throughout the life cycle of a building. And actually, another very good result we saw mid-April when the Energy Performance Buildings Directive was adopted, where we got this clear definition what a digital building logbook is. So it's a common repository for all relevant building data. And from there on, implementing the EPBD, we will come to increase our efforts and to fulfill all the requirements for the digital building logbooks.
Yes, we definitely have plans to make a national DBL in the Netherlands, but I have to say it's not the first time we've had plans to make a national DBL. The implementation of the new EPBD does give us some grounding in European law to implement a DBL, but it's also quite vague of what it actually has to be. So what we are doing right now is we are looking at what are the current data sources that we have. How can we combine them to create added value for both building owners and for governments or researchers or financial institutions to be able to renovate their buildings?
There are a few private initiatives. The official public opinion is that we should go for the building resources passports first and building energy certificates or other tools reporting on embodied energy. So the environmental issues are at the forefront, and I think the Digital Building Logbook will come as a result of all the efforts to fulfill these very ambitious targets.
The building registry in Estonia already is kind of a DBL, but we are always improving it. In 2018, 2019, we started transitioning from just a kind of a registry into a more of a platform approach. And that's when we started developing the e-construction platform. And the idea of the e-construction platform itself is maybe even more holistic than a DBL. The aim is to connect both data and services related to the built environment throughout the building lifecycle. And it's not just about connecting the data and services, it's also about, in the process, connecting different stakeholders. That's why we saw that the government itself is actually at the center of this information exchange. And it makes sense not just to have repository or a registry or a logbook, but it also is the perfect opportunity to create accessibility for more services, not just government services, but to have on one platform also private sector services. I think the work done with the DBL and at the EU level should remain quite general when we talk about specific technical solutions, because I don't believe that there should be, one big European system. The European countries are much too different for that. And we have diversity, and that is actually a value. So we should try and strive to keep that diversity. But what the work with the DBL, what I see as the implementation plans suggested by the EU format, is a very good way of aligning the understanding in different member states. What does it mean to have digital information about your built environment? What is the role of maybe the government in that? Because in many countries you see there's a bottom-up approach, which is stronger, which is the industry is driving a lot of this. The industry is providing solutions, services, but then it often gets a little bit fragmented. In other countries you see that nothing moves without centralized government support, push, and nudging.
The EU has their technical guidelines for the digital building logbooks, and that's definitely something that we are going to take into consideration when making our digital building logbook. On the other hand, there are a lot of guidelines that we need to take into account, both nationally and internationally. So we have to really consider which things that we will need to implement for our digital building logbook.
That's quite important to make sure that we have those standards on the one side. So on EU level first, and then on national standards, we need clear standards about data management, data sharing, property rights, data security, different methods to collect data and store it, who can report which data. So basically make sure the right person has access to the right information at the right time. So this is something we need to find the framework or the general understanding for.